we wake, hear the birds and see the sun.
Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are making spring rolls completely from scratch. No store-bought wrappers, just pure homemade goodness. If you've ever wanted to make spring rolls at home but thought it was too complicated, stick around because I'll show you just how easy it can be. We are keeping it simple with minced meat as our only filling, and trust me, these are going to be crispy, juicy and full of flavor. So let's get rolling. In a large mixing bowl, add 1 cup of warm water, 330 grams of all-purpose flour and a pinch of salt. Add enough water to form a dough and mix it all together until it starts to come together into a rough mass. As you work the mixture, use your fingers to scrape the sides of the bowl, ensuring all the flour is incorporated. Keep turning and pressing the dough together, gathering any loose bits from the edges of the bowl. Now, dig your hands underneath the dough, fold it over and press it firmly to make sure it all sticks together. Turn the dough over a few times, pressing any dry spots into the waterer parts. You want every bit of flour moistened and fully combined with no dry patches left in the bowl. Once it's all gathered, lift the dough out and transfer it to a clean flat surface. Use the heel of your hand to push the dough away from you, stretching it slightly. Then fold the dough back over itself, give it a small turn and repeat push, fold and turn. As you need, you'll feel the dough start to transform under your hands, going from a rough and sticky mass to something smoother and more elastic. Don't rush this step, take your time and enjoy the process. As you need, you might notice the dough sticking a bit. To make it easier, drizzle a small amount of oil, just a teaspoon or so, onto the dough and your hands. This will prevent sticking and make the dough more manageable. Continue kneading, incorporating the oil as needed until the dough is smooth and elastic. Knead the dough until it becomes soft and springy. Once the dough is well kneaded, shape it into a ball, cover it with a damp cloth or a paper towel and let it rest for 15 minutes. After a few minutes, our dough is now soft and well manageable. When you let the dough sit, it allows the gluten to relax, which makes the dough easier to handle and roll out. The resting period also helps the dough to become more pliable and less elastic, resulting in a better texture for your final product. At this point, divide the dough into smaller, evenly sized balls, ensuring each portion is roughly the same size for consistent results. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new recipe or update. Once divided, lightly flour your work surface and use a rolling pin to gently roll out each ball into thin, even circles. Take your time with this step, aiming for a smooth, uniform thickness across each piece, which will help them cook evenly and look beautifully uniform. Once you've rolled out the dough into a thin circle, brush a light layer of oil over the surface of the dough. This will help keep the wrappers pliable and prevent them from sticking together later. Sprinkle a small amount of flour on top of the oil. The flour helps to create a barrier and ensures the layers don't stick too much when we stack them. Repeat the same process for all the dough and make sure you follow all the instructions. Now roll the dough back up into a tight log or cylinder shape. This process helps to layer the dough, which will give our wrappers a nice texture. Once you have rolled up the dough, gently flatten it again with a rolling pin to achieve a nice thin even sheet. Next, we need to separate the layers. Heat a pan over low to medium heat. Place one wrapper at a time into the pan. Heat for about 20 to 30 seconds on each side. The goal here is to not cook the wrapper but to warm it enough to help the layers separate. You should see the layer starting to lift slightly. While the wrapper is still warm, carefully peel apart the layers. If you find any wrapper sticking together, you can heat them a little longer if needed. Repeat the same process for all the wrappers, and if you feel like the heat is too much, you can use a spoon or a knife to separate the layers. And for you to know if it is time to separate them, you will see air between the wrappers, and that is the point where you will use your spoon or your knife to separate them. Be careful because these sheets are very thin and they can tear up. Make sure to follow all the instructions. To get a perfectly round shape, use a round item like a bowl or a cutter to trim the edges. See how mine turned out? They are light, well shaped and ready for filling. For the meat, start by chopping your onions finely. First, peel off the outer skin and cut the onion in half. Place each half flat on the cutting board and make several horizontal cuts followed by vertical cuts to create small uniform pieces. Be sure to chop the onions as finely as possible, as this will help them cook more evenly and blend seamlessly with the meat. Feel free to use fewer onions if you prefer a milder taste. Boil your minced meat in a pot with enough water to cover it. Cook until the water evaporates and the meat is nicely browned. Then you can add in any spices that you prefer. And don't forget to add the salt. Next, add in your chopped onions to the meat and stir well and let them cook with the meat. The heat will soften the onions, allowing their natural sweetness to infuse into the meat, creating a richer flavor profile. This results in a delicious, flavorful filling that's perfect for your dishes. To seal your spring roll wrappers, you'll need a simple flour paste. Mix 3 tablespoons of flour with 3 tablespoons of water in a bowl until smooth. Adjust the consistency if needed. If the paste is too thick, you can add a little more water. If it's too runny, add a bit more flour. Now let's wrap our spring rolls. Start by laying a spring roll wrapper on a clean flat surface with one corner facing you. Place a small amount of filling along the bottom third of the wrapper, making sure not to overfill. Fold the sides of the wrapper, bringing them towards the center to seal the edges and hold the filling in place. Next, fold the bottom corner of the wrapper over the filling, tucking it in snugly. Now begin rolling the wrapper up from the bottom, keeping it as tight as possible without tearing the wrapper. As you reach the top, use a small amount of flour paste or water to seal the edge of the wrapper, ensuring it stays closed while cooking. And there you have it, neatly wrapped spring rolls ready to be cooked. Make sure they are sealed well to keep all that delicious filling inside. As we wrap these spring rolls, remember to keep your filling well balanced. Not only does this help with even cooking, but it also ensures each roll has the perfect bite. Make sure your workspace is clean and dry to avoid any issues with sticking. If you find the wrappers are getting a bit dry, you can lightly cover them with a damp cloth to keep them pliable. Roll your spring rolls tightly but not too tightly to prevent the filling from bursting out during frying. If you tried this spring roll recipe or have any questions, drop a comment below. Share your favorite filling combinations or any tips you have for perfecting your rolls.
Side by side, our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy.
With our spring rolls perfectly wrapped, it is time to fry them. Heat oil in a deep pan. Carefully slide your spring rolls to the hot oil, making sure not to overcrowd the pan. Frying too many at once can lower the oil temperature and make the rolls less crispy. Cook the rolls for about 3 to 4 minutes, turning them occasionally to ensure they brown evenly on all sides. Keep an eye on them as they cook. They should turn a beautiful golden brown. Once they are crispy and golden, use a slotted spoon to remove them from the oil. Let them drain on paper towel lined plate to absorb excess oil. Repeat the same process for all the spring rolls. Your spring rolls are now ready to serve. They are best enjoyed hot and crispy, so pair them with your favorite dipping sauces like sweet and sour peanut or soy sauce. Happy baking!